Yeah, so when we are looking at users and customers, right, we do need to take all of these into consideration, right? Who are we actually helping out here? Who is more important? Are we just dealing with customers in the general sense of the word, or are we dealing with users, right? Because what the users want or need, what they want or what they need, may be very different from what the customers, right? Those who actually have the purchasing power, what they want or need, right? So when we look at market research, there are two very broad categories in which we need to ascertain in order to be effective in solving problems, right? And these two areas is these two categories that we're looking at is very loosely called the demographics and the psychographics. Right, so demo and psychographics, right? Not the same as graphic card or graphic design, yeah? Have you guys heard of these terms before? Have you guys started taking intro to marketing or other similar business oriented classes so far? Yes, yes, nice. Okay, good. Yep, and this is how it's directly linked to design practice and design studies. Did marketing is M2, intro to marketing. Okay, good. So, can you tell me in the chat section what is the difference between demographic and psychographic? Yeah, come, revise and connect your ideas. You can also unmute your mic to talk if you want to. Okay, age, good. What else goes under demographics? Haha, never thought you'd see this term in this class, right? Yes, they're all connected. Mm, not quite right, but it's okay. Come, let me know. Good. Okay, maybe not exactly physical traits. You don't, but you talk about quantitative. So these are things that are very easy to count. You know, like for example, in a pool of people, how many of them are above the age of 18 years old? How many of them are below 18 years old? How many of them are male or female? There's female and this is male. Yeah. So this is what demographics is good for. It's looking at quantitative. Psychographic, yes, is their behavior because you're looking at qualitative aspects. Right? So this is where you look. Okay. So to build upon what Evan said just now, you can put occupation here actually, right? Because you get to segregate it to either are they white collar workers, you know, are they educated or not, or are they blue collar workers? You know, other ways you can look at it is are they full time or are they part time, right? Because and we normally put it here because 18-year-olds should not be holding full-time positions, right? It's not legal in a lot of countries for the very very young to full time to hold full-time jobs. Yeah, so yeah, can count easily, right? So qualitative is more uh, it's more intangible. Maybe you can say that, right? It's harder to count, right? So these are normally people's values, opinions, and I can't quite remember what the last one is. Give me a minute. Yeah, let me do a quick search because I also kind of forgot the exact terminology for you guys. Okay. Yes, value, opinions, and beliefs. There we go. Right. So, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Like for example, let's look at your class. Right. All of you have very similar demographics, right? You are all within 18 to 20 years old. Anyone here who's 17 or 16 years old? Yes, as Ying Fu mentioned, correct. You can put lifestyle here. Social class is a little bit here, right? Because social, so should we expand on social economic, socio, socio-economic status, right? So whether you are in Malaysia, we have this 220, T20, M40, and B40, right? So these are below average income. So this is the middle class, right? This is the lower classes, basically people who are kind of poor, right? Then the middle class, and then this is the upper class. Right? So there's B40, M40, and T20. Okay, so Huyin is 17. Nice. Okay, any 16-year-olds? I'm just curious. All right. Or is there anyone here that's above the age of 20? It's cool. Yeah. Because I remember the first time I started teaching KDU, I had a 16-year-old in my class. Mentally 3 years old. Haha, good. So, you see, physically about to pass away. Oh no, please stay healthier. So tired every day. Yeah. Whenever you can, guys, take a break. Like, literally, like, go out, away from your computer, go walk around, go do a bit of chores. Right? Get moving. Because I find I'm stuck at home also all day, and when I just sit in front of the computer, it gets worse. Yeah, so even if it means like taking a walk in like in your neighborhood, if you have pets like a dog or a cat or whatever, just take them outside for a while. It will really help. Okay, anyway, coming back to this. Yeah, so you are a class of 17 to 20 years old, maybe a bit older than that, no problem, right? But you all have very different thoughts and opinions, right? Some of you think anime is the bomb. Some of you are like, anime, I only watched this when I was younger. Like, Doraemon is anime, right? You know? So, yeah, so you will all have very, very different, even though you're in the same demographic, so to speak. Yeah? You have very, very different psychographic profiles. Right? And all of these factor into what your needs are, what your wants are, not the same thing, yeah? You need things like food and shelter and, being in a group, in a social group, right? Like if you like K-pop, you want to find other people who like K-pop, right? If you like games, you want to find people who also like games, right? Right. But you also have very different wants. Like some of you guys are saving up for something really expensive. Like I don't know, like if you are how many of you guys are saving up money right now for something like I don't know, like computer parts or for like super rare collectible or something? Can you share? Saving up money for something. Okay, something we a bit censored lah. Okay, can. Okay, can, no problem. Saving up on a monitor, nice. Right? You need a monitor? Do you want a monitor, Kevin? And why this particular monitor? Not saving up now. Oh, see. Nice. Need an RTX 3080. Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too. It's like 10,000 ringgit last I checked in the June 6 June sales. The June sales. Terrible. The scalpers. Yeah. Yeah, 10,000 ringgit. If you ship it from America, it's like 11,000 or something. So it's like, so pain. I want it to be even more productive. Okay, so if it helps you, um, I think solve a actual hard problem, I would consider it a need, right? But if it's something nice to have, it's optional, like, don't have it also can live lah, just maybe less fun or less comfortable, then, you can consider it a want lah, you know? So like fancier stuff, yeah? So this actually is required. You need it to solve problems, right? So whereas this sometimes is nice to have, right? So this is really important, right? Because as we continue looking at our project and actually going out to do our own research, when you're looking at the brands who are successful and who are not successful, we're looking at products and services that you have in your life that you think very well of or who you think it's rubbish, all of these matter because you need to reverse engineer in a way. You need to work backwards. Ask yourself who is actually the target market here. What are their demographics? What are their psychographics? What are the problems? What are the problems these products or services solve? Yeah. So very similar to creative studies, correct. Because as I mentioned before, design studies, creative studies, design practice, and even intro to marketing and a lot of other subjects as well, including social science, because social science really helps you understand this part a lot more, right? The psychographics a lot more. You are trying to solve problems. Either they are personal problems or they are big community or even society-wide problems. Are they needs? Are they wants? All of these are important, and this is why you need to ask questions and you need to go and do research. In this class for design practice, it is very important to do visual research and market research, right? And all of these research that you do, right? It's not just pass up. So Miss Chi will shut up and give you marks. Okay, please think of it as professional, right? Really, at every step of the way, when you're collecting images, when you are writing down your analysis, or when you're asking your friends or family members, what do you think about brand X or brand Y? You are always trying to do this. You're always trying to figure out what are the problems that a product or service can solve. Is it a need? Is it a want? Does it appeal to a group that has this particular lifestyle? Like if those of you who are very very outgoing, you will like things that will benefit your social side, right? Like this is where I would imagine if you're a girl, you would invest a lot more money into makeup. Even though right now we're not going out, but you're still going to buy good skincare products because you want to look presentable, right? Or if you dress up, you dress up for yourself, right? Yeah, but maybe those of you who are more introverted, you have very different values. Like maybe your you will spend more time or money on things that don't make you look very good, but maybe it'll give you better performance. Like like you're going to. So I see monitor and graphics card. Yeah, so maybe like you have a different value compared to those who are more outgoing or more social, right? You may want stuff that will help you play games better or to do your work better. So there you go, right? Uh, yeah. So, all right. And in this class, for this particular lecture, right, we will be exploring uh, tools to help you guys achieve this a little bit better, right? And this can be seen in the design process. Okay, you will hear me and Mr. Eugene in both design practice, design studies, and creative studies, right? We will use these terminologies a lot. So I just want to make this concrete and clear to all of you guys, right? We will use creative direction, and art direction a lot. Okay, but if you need a more simplified way of understanding what we're talking about, right? Creative direction is the idea, right? And art direction is the look and feel that expresses this idea. So you've noticed in the past few classes for design practice, I always ask you a few repetitive questions, right? Like, is it high end? Is it mid end? Right? Or is it low end? Okay, let me change my pen color because I don't like this color at all. Right. Yeah. So, sorry. Very hard to read that, right? Okay. So, yeah. So is something high, mid, or low end? Right? Because low end will have a very particular look and feel. right? High end will have a very particular look and feel. And what you don't want to do is to mismatch it. Like if you have a very, low end product, like, oh, I don't know, something as boring as detergent, right? Like it's the soap powder you use to wash your clothes, right? So imagine if this is a low end product, but you design it to look like cool. It's in a glass bottle, crystal, you know, with with a super special sealing technology, and then you have a it's like there's gold in the in like the wrapper is gold in color and stuff like that, right? Do you think people who normally buy soap powder will buy this? You know, if you take normally very low end product and you suddenly make it super high end, like would the current market look at this and think that's a good idea? How many of you will buy soap powder? Just curious. How many of you do buy soap powder right now? How many of you are living on your own, or you help out with your mom and your dad with the house chores? What brand of soap powder do you buy? Just curious. Let me know. Top. Yep. Malaysia really likes the top detergent brand. What about the others? Breeze. Okay, yes, this is a very popular brand. Okay. What should I say? How many of you don't know what soap powder you use at home? Ah, Evan, you can keep. I mean, Tengku, you can keep typing if you want. Yeah. For the rest of you, how many of you have zero idea what soap powder you have at home right now? Like this is my mom or my dad's problem or my mate's problem. Me, lol. Okay. That's why I'm only typing lol. Okay. Do you recognize any of these brand names? Top or Breeze? Tengku Danish? Like you've seen it before in a shopping mall? Yeah, of course. Okay. Alright, nice. Which one do you think is better? Top or Breeze? Off the top of your head. Breeze. Okay. What about Breeze makes you think that it's a little bit more reliable? Is it the way it looks? Is it because you kinda hear people use it more often? My family used it since I was born. We've never changed brands. Yeah, Ping Chun. Good. Detergent more good smell. Even the clothes is even more soft. Che. Shobo. Okay. All right. Yeah. So anyway, continuing on. Right. It is a very important thing that in all our considerations, right, that the idea and the look and feel. Ah man, black is also not good. Okay, I'll just stick to yellow. Right. Uh, the look and feel and the ideas match. Right. Whatever function your product or your service has, the form of it, whether it's digital or physical or both, needs to match, right? Intention and execution must match. Message and medium must match, right? The umbrella term for all of these means the creative direction, right, must match the art direction. Okay? So if you want your product to be friendly, it should look friendly. If you want your product to look, I don't know, like hardcore, yeah, so it must look hardcore, right? If you want it to look feminine and glamorous and enchanting, then it should play the part. Kira kira. Okay, moving along. Okay, so this is the reason why, as elaborated upon in creative studies, right? That you need to begin with an idea, or most of the best ideas we have start off by identifying a problem, and an idea, rough idea what the solution is going to be. You're not too sure yet, right? But you see, this is why we take research and we design and we prototype. Prototyping is super important, right? And then we refine it further, which is as equally important as prototyping, if not more. And only then we have the final product or we have the final service plan, right? Because you know those horrible copycat products? Well, they don't do any of this, right? They come up with the idea. Oh, I see iPhone very canggih. Everybody like iPhone. So I'm just going to copy whatever iPhone does, bloop, and I'm going to make my own version, right? But it's not Apple brand. Maybe it's called Apple brand, or worse, it's called Pineapple brand, or whatever weird knockoff pirated name you get lah, right? And then they wonder why when their users actually use these pirated brands, they're very unhappy with it. They're super super unhappy with it, right? Because they skip these stages. They don't actually ask what exactly makes the Apple iPhone so unique, so important, so intuitive, right? Very important term is intuitive. That it solves problems so well. So well. It becomes second nature. If you don't know what intuitive means, right? This is a very rough layman's way uh, to recognize it, to quantify it, right? Yeah, because yeah, if you've used Facebook or Instagram and you fiddle with it for about like 10 minutes or so, and you more or less understand how to use the most basic features and functions without having someone to teach you step by step, that's intuitive, right? If you have played a game, right, or used the software, or used even, like, I don't know, what would you use, maybe a coffee maker, or driving a car. Yeah, that is a very good one. Like driving a car, it feels almost painless, like you don't have to think so hard. It comes very natural to you. That is the gold standard, right? This is what we really want. We want intuitive solutions, because intuitive are firstly creative, because they actually solve a problem, and also they are well executed, right? So that means creative direction, score 100%, right? Art direction, score close to 100%. Because that's the thing about art direction, yeah. You cannot really get 100% all the time. No execution is 100% effective all the time. But we will always try to take this design process, right, from researching what the problem is, coming up with ideas. Okay, if this is the brand, it's supposed to be high end, it's supposed to cater to girls more than guys, it's supposed to look feminine but not artificially feminine, properly like appealing to that particular age group. Then we need to try these different colors, these different textures, fonts, etc., etc., over and over and over again, until you finally find a authentic original product that matches your target market's expectations, by matching their the needs and their wants according to their demographics and their psychographics. Yeah. So these are the 4 stages, and these are the tools that you can actually use to help you get your ideas rolling, right? So this is also the reason why I have already told you guys to begin making your mood boards, and also to write a short analysis. Short, please don't write 10,000 word essay, okay? A short analysis for your mood boards, right? You can stick it on the mood board itself, right? Or you can have a separate slide just to have some pointers, right? And we want you to break down, like, from all the pictures you have chosen, right? Choose freely first. Don't be too stressed, like, oh, I must choose the correct, most perfect picture. No, just choose the pictures that you think is relevant to the project, that you can help you and your classmates, your group members, design better according to your chosen project direction, right? And then write a short analysis on the elements or the principles of design. If you don't know what this is, no problem. In the next few slides, we will be talking more about that, right? So next week onwards, we'll be working on ideation, right? This is where you will come up with sketches, and mind maps, right? And then the next stage, all the way to the final stage, right? We'll be working on prototypes. So you'll be coming up with a lot of different prototypes for your products. So you have version 1, version 2, version 3. And then from version 1, version 2, version 3, you will come up with like slight variations to it, you know. So like, right? And then finally, you will choose the best version, maybe, to be your final product or service. Right? And then you're polishing it all the way. Maybe you're changing the packaging instructions, or maybe you're changing the logo, etc., etc., until you get the best possible version that matches the demographic and psychographic of your intended target market, right? Based on the inspiration that you've drawn, whether it's pirate or ninja or kings or queens or whatever, right? And the product types that you have from the brief, right? So this is in the assignment brief. Right? So that's right. This long project is. I know some of you guys are getting impatient because you send me messages over the days like, Miss, do we pass up now? When do we pass up? Can I do this? Can I do that? Okay, great. So, yeah, we're taking slow time to go through this process, because what I don't want you to do is be a knockoff brand, like or as Peng Chun calls it, the durian brands. Right? Or as Evan was talking about, the Chinese vehicle brands, right? You don't want to like, oh, I see someone else make this kind of car, I literally copy paste, and then I wonder why my car like is always breaking down and it's terrible and it's very unsafe to drive. Okay, yeah, that's a horrible car. Right? So yeah, so okay, let's move on. Okay, so as I mentioned before, one of our favorite techniques is to reverse engineer, right? So while we are going through the user design process, a more faster way to learn is to reverse engineer, where we start at an existing brand or product, right? Or product or service or whatever, right? And we ask ourselves what makes it amazing and what makes it bad, right? And we try to take the amazing parts and we build it into our idea, right? Or we take things that are very poorly done and we try to avoid it in our idea, and then we go forward again, right? It's totally fine for you to jump back and forth and back and forth and back. Yep. And if you do this class well, like you put in your effort, you take my suggestions and you listen to your friends' suggestions, and you try to negotiate and work things out, you will find that you will be ping-ponging from the small straightforward design process to reverse engineering over and over again, right? Yeah, because yeah, so this is actually like a great, I think what Picasso said, great artists steal, they don't copy, right? Because copying means you look at someone else's stuff and then you copy paste directly into your stuff, right? So yeah, so I don't, my very failed drawing of Apple. Right, you copy paste straight away, but you don't appreciate all of the actual solutions, the actual innovations that have happened before they reach their final product, right? So what you need to do, right? Don't copy, right? What you need to do is you need to break it down, right? So this is what makes it great. Maybe there's a simple form of the logo, or the actual products itself. You need to go through, you need to break it down one by one, stage by stage, until finally you start reassembling it into your own unique, interesting idea, whatever that idea is. So you can see, right, that Samsung was a no-name brand in like the age of Nokia and Sony Ericsson, right? And they rose to become like the Apple killer, right? They're just on level with Apple or better in some sense, right? Because whereas Nokia just refused to innovate, they refused to look at other products and get an idea of what people actually want now, because what people wanted for their phones had changed dramatically, right? Or compared to like Sony Ericsson that saw everything Apple tried to do, and they tried to do a cheap copy version of it, but they didn't really, I don't know, maybe they didn't have enough research funds, or maybe their development is too slow. They kind of faded off, right? And then Samsung looked at what Apple did and said, like, you know what, we can match that and do it even better, because Android is a lot more, it's a lot less regulated compared to Apple, right? So we're going to use that, the looser and wider market share, and all these different devices, all the different types of people all around the world using Android phones, because Android phones are also categorically supposed to be cheaper than Apple phones, right? So we're going to build that into our line of phones and tablets and so on and so forth. Yeah. So there we go, right? Yes, Android has a lot more versatility, right? So for, I think Samsung, they made it into a strength, whereas Sony Ericsson was very confused. You can see like in that, like I think early 2000s, their phones became really very weird. Like some of the phones are amazing, right? Wow, they get the hardware right, they get the software right. Then the other phones are like, it's supposed to be a cheap phone, right? But it's like $300 more expensive than your other comparable cheap phones. Like, what are you doing, Sony? Market research problem lah, maybe research and development problem lah. I don't know what it is, but it's so sad because I was a Sony Ericsson fan. I really was. Okay, so anyways, let's jump right in, right? Market research and, oh sorry, there are two types of research that you will be doing in this class in creative studies and design studies. Mainly it's market research and visual research, right? But in this class, design practice, we really want you to focus more on this aspect, right? And anytime we do visual research, right, we are very briefly asking about the user, what are their expectations and whatnot. And more importantly, this is the emphasis, right? We want you to really break down what you have to its elements and its principles, right? Okay. So if you don't know what design elements and principles are, this is the list, right? The design elements is basically your raw ingredients, right? Like any picture, any video, photo, drawing, game, a website or whatever can be broken down to lines, shapes, colors, form, size, you know, typography, all these things, right? And then when you put them together, right, in different ways, then you will find that your final image will have different contrasts, different balances, different emphasis. Case in point, if I were to draw a circle with inside a square, right? So yeah, it looks like the Japanese flag, doesn't it? Right? If I were to make the circles really much smaller, you have a completely different balance, right? So this is quite, same shape is same, right? Background is the same, right? Size is what changed, and position is what changed, right? You will have a very different balance. Okay. Pop quiz. A and B, which one is symmetrical balance? Which one is asymmetrical balance? Ah. A is symmetrical, correct? And what do you call B? Asymmetrical, correct. Okay. Now, beyond that, when you combine these things together, you will also find message, right? You will find look and feel and how that communicates to an idea. Very simple. Between A and B, which one feels more powerful? Yeah, I know, super abstract, like, miss, it's just a circle in a square. How much power you wanna? Okay, but just look visually. Between A and B, which one do you think feels more powerful? A. 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 Yes. Okay, see? Okay, nice. B looks like a bug that I squash my slippers later, right? Yeah. Draw a slipper. And draw the terrible China, like Japanese slipper. The one that Malaysians wear to the toilet. Yeah, sort. Alright, so okay. Visuals and image are very subjective. Right? And this is the reason why it's super important for you to design accordingly. Some things are very clear, right? Like I asked you a question like which image looks more powerful. Majority of the human race will say, duh, of course it's this image here on the right. I mean on the left, right? Because the subject matter, right? The circle is big and its center. You know, like it's like a king. Yeah, like you know, it's taking command. Right. Whereas tiny little circle in the corner here looks like a little bug running away from you. Yeah. Maybe a little fly. I don't know. Okay. So these are really, really important. Your whole design career doesn't matter if you're mass comm games or you're going to open up your own business or you know uh, in selling like in F&B etc., right? You need to be very careful about this, right? You need to match the idea with the look and the feel, right? The creative direction with the art direction. Okay, very simple, very horrible drawing here, right? And already there's a lot of information. Okay, let's expand that. Can you tell me what brands remind you of okay, let's say brands are people or they have personalities. What is a brand that reminds you of someone friendly? Can you name me some? What brands are super friendly, like off the top of your head? This is a question for everyone, yeah? Can you tell me what brands are friendly in your mind? Okay, maybe you need a bit of contrast. Who is super friendly and who is super cold and professional? Yeah. Wendy's law. McDonald's is friendly, Barbie is friendly, good. Tesla is friendly? Or is Tesla cold and professional? Tesla is friendly.
And bank is like, let's say HLB or HSBC is cold and professional.
Mm-hmm, nice. And who's friendly? Can you think of a friendly bank?
I wouldn't say a bank. A bank shouldn't be friendly. I don't think they should be serious. If anything,
Nice.
friendly. I would say maybe Produa would be. I would say is a friendly brand. I would say
Produa.
it's the I don't know. It's the vibe I get off like the vehicle. That's it.
Which vehicle are you thinking of from Produa that's
It's
friendly?
it's okay. Like the most
Maybe,
basic
maybe.
Malaysian car, like the
Myvi.
Myvi
Mhm.
or the Asia, or even the Kalisa. It gives off. It's not really a tough looking car. If you get what I mean.
Yep, it's a cute looking car, right?
Yeah.
And the
So
car.
in that sense, it's friendly, lah.
Okay, nice. Thank you for that. Yes, and you're right. Some brands have to be cold and professional, right? Because you won't trust a bank if they are too playful, right? Maybe that's why it's very hard for you guys to think of a bank that's playful. There are some, but I think from the looks of it, it's not successful. Look up CIMB and look up MBank. Because I think these guys tried to be friendly, okay, by being cute. Like CIMB actually has like a very cute octopus mascot that they were like hardcore like promoting some time ago. I think the mascot was like wearing a baseball cap for some reason. Like why bank and octopus? I have no idea, right? But yeah, HSBC super pro, right? I like how Purdue instantly you guys are like my V, yeah, right? You and everyone's mom and Tok Pek and Atok or whatever will be driving a Myvi, right? Lego is cold when you step on it. Yes, that is true. Right? It's friendly when you're playing with it, but then when you step on it, it's le doom. Okay. Yes, as the all right. So there you go. Right. So it's amazing that these companies, when you really think about it, right? Companies are basically faceless corporations, right? And they are meant to be faceless, right? Because it's a very a company is a large group of people, hopefully working together to solve a problem. But another problem is sometimes, you know, you don't know who are the people who are running the company, right? Are they trustworthy? Are they friendly? Do they have to be friendly? Do they have to be trustworthy? Right? Again, coming back again to the problems that are being solved. So now, what makes Lego and McDonald's seem friendly to you guys? Apart from the products and services, let's look at specifically the brands. What colors do they use that like make sense that is friendly? Or what shapes do they use that make sense that is friendly? Or Purdue? Right.
It's all. It's not. They're not. They're. I guess their font. Like what the fonts they use is just not sharp. It's not like edgy. It's kind of like roundish. I think that's the
Yep.
main giveaway for that.
Yep. Okay. So bright colors like red and yellow. Nice. Rounded edges. So that's friendly. Correct. Okay. Lego also has a very similar vibe. Do you not see now? See? Same design language. Same visual language. And this is deliberate. Can you imagine if Lego or McDonald's would suddenly be, I don't know, this color instead? Like, it's black in color with a blue color font. What happens? Do you still think you want to play with Lego? Do you still think you want to eat at McDonald's? Ah, see, terrible mismatch, isn't it? Yeah, looks like a neon bar. Yeah, yeah. So this is the Lego that is designed for people to step on. It's not a Lego for you to bring joy with. It's a Lego you leave around so people will feel pain when they step on it. The pain. So much pain. Right? Yep. So this is why it's important for you to match the look and feel to create brands instead of companies in the traditional sense. Right? Because brands have personalities, very clear, very easy to understand, and more importantly, easy to build a relationship with and easy to remember. Whereas companies are usually just, like that, like your typical, ABC corporation. Like, what the hell should I know about something that's so bland and so faceless and soulless? Right? But sometimes that's good, sometimes that's needed. But for this class, now. Right? So these are the elements of design. You can refer to this lecture note later on when you're going through your mood boards and you're breaking down what are the specific lines you want to use. Maybe your brand is best when there are no lines at all. What kind of shapes do you want to use for your logo or for the design of your products, your packaging, so on and so forth? What color scheme do you guys want to use? Yes, please. One of the biggest and quickest ways that you can align everyone's products or everyone's brands is to make sure that you guys agree early on a fixed color scheme, right? Like, oh, we are only going to do like warm colors maybe, or all our products have to be cool colors, specific, right? What values, what textures, and how much space do you want to have in your products? right? And then when you put them together, you know, what are the patterns, what are the rhythm and movement, the proportions that you want to use, balance, unity, emphasis, so on and so forth. Right? Okay, so let's look at some beautiful examples. You can find a lot of these from my two favorite websites, which is Pinterest and Behance. So if you haven't spent time looking through it, please do so. Okay, so between A and B, which one looks like a quiet brand? Answer in the chat, or you can unmute your microphone. Which looks quiet?
A, I
Serious.
guess.
A,
Yeah,
yeah.
I see.
And the one on the left looks like funeral. No. Yes. Okay. What specific design element or principle makes it quiet to you?
think it's the method that there is not much to see really. That's why it's quiet. It doesn't really speak out because there's nothing much to see anyways.
The nothingness is all this, right? All this empty
The
space.
empty, and then the spaces, and
Yeah.
then the same color, like very white.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, white and gray, which are what we call monochromatic. Take otherwise, because it's all shades of very pale whites to very pale grays. Like you know, there's black all the way here, white over here, and light gray, middle gray, and eventually very dark gray. Is only up to here. Okay, good. And lots of what we call negative space, right? And this negative space, as you can see here, is deliberately enhanced in this. What composition is this versus this composition in 1 and 2? Yeah. Yingni, yes. You can, when you're making your designs, if you want your design to be very quiet, right? You don't do this. You don't fill up every single space with, you know, some bright color or some decoration or something like that. What you do is you leave it empty. So these are what we call negative space. Just in case you can't see it, there is a very subtle N here. Yes, as Yingfu says, very minimal. Yeah, I don't know whether you can see it on your screen, but basically there is a N here, and it's not even printed; it's embossed. You know, so if you actually like pat this box in your hand for real, you will feel like there's like you know the N is like like um like the paper has been pressed down. So there is empty space around the N, and then the N kind of like bumps up. And this is the rest of the box. Yeah. So you see, this uses both asymmetrical balance and symmetrical balance, right? But there is a lot of negative space deliberately. This whole area, all negative space, all negative
So
space.
negative space means like the emptiness. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
get it.
Yeah, because you see, don't be afraid. Like you know, like I don't know, I had a lot of old-fashioned clients, right? Whenever I give them like designs like this, they would get angry at me. They'll say like, "Oi, I pay you so much money, but why everything's so empty, empty?" This is the reason why, right? Because if you want a quiet brand, you need to have a lot of negative space, right? Whereas if you want a loud brand, you fill everything up. Like wow, you know, so look color, so much color, then lines everywhere, you know. Okay, compared, okay, so if this is quiet and this is loud, what apart from okay, can you really break down to me? Does it feel more masculine or is it more feminine? Now I'm interested. This one. And why do you think that it feels more masculine or feminine? Good, feminine because of the color. Which color specifically, or what type of color?
I think it's because of the pink.
pink, yes. And it's a very specific pink, right? What pink is this?
I don't know.
Okay, is it like eye melting neon pink or is it pastel pink?
Not sure too. Not sure also.
Pastel, correct. Right? Because when you look at colors, right, you have very, very light colors all the way to the super dark, highly intense, super saturated colors, right? So this is unsaturated. This is, sorry, yeah, or desaturated. Hang on, let me just write that a little bit more clearly. Eh, So in between there's like, eventually very light. So this is 100% pink, and this is like 0% pink, so it's kind of transparent. So there are different levels of saturation. So pastel pink is somewhere here, or what we call a desaturated pink, otherwise called pastel pink lah. Yeah. Yes, you can also call it salmon color. Very nicely done, Faris. Yeah, because how do you get salmon? Is that you mix pink with orange. Right? So this is it's a very young color, right? It's not an old woman's kind of pink, right? Because oh man, if you look at some of the pink that old people have, it's really eye melting pink, right? It's super artificial pink. Whereas this is a very soft pink. So if you have paints at home and you want to try to get this color, I would imagine you will take like 60 to 80% white. You will have like 5% red, and maybe I don't know. Okay, so anywhere from 2% to 5% red, and anywhere from 2% to 3% orange. And you get this wonderful, kind of millennial pink color. Alright. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Quiet and loud. Between A and B, which one is quiet, which one is loud? See, earlier we were looking at physical products, now we're looking at websites. Which is quiet? A is quiet, again. Yeah. Did you see? Same principles in action. Right? Okay, in this, I want you to pay attention to the typography. What makes A's typography more quiet than B's typography? Can anyone explain?
So A's typography is more, stable. Everything's pretty consistent. Whereas B's typography, you can see there's some edges that's kind of like expanding a bit. They're a bit playful with the placements of the font too.
Okay, irregular shapes and playful placement. Yes, anyone else? Can anyone identify what type this is versus this? Or where do you see this kind of typeface usually? What does it remind you of? Yeah?
Wait a minute. Swedish apartments in Moscow. Is it a sans serif?
No, it's a serif.
This is the thing I always mess up. Okay, yeah, it's serif. Okay.
Okay, let me give you guys a quick cheat. Yeah. Okay, look at the eye here, right? You see, it has legs, right? These legs, this is what we call serif. And these are what we call your seniors like to refer it to as typewriter font because very vintage. True, right? Whereas this kind of fonts, there is no legs, no extra legs here and there. This is what we call sans serif. Okay. You have to remember, Mr. Eugene is very sensitive about this. He's like, guys, serif and sans serif. Okay, right. So, not to worry, right? Because these are the languages that I want you guys to pick up as we do this assignment, right? And my goal is like towards the semester, especially when we're heading into the prototyping and the finishing territory, these would already become more familiar to you all, right? And you'll be able to use this in your degree or in your later, like anywhere lah, like later on in your foundation or in your degree or when you go out there and work, or if you're doing freelance work. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So just to speed things up a little bit, right? Whenever you see this kind of fonts, right? Like you look at the S, right? You see these little tails at the back there. These are what we call serifs, right? And serifs, uh, as Ping Chun has mentioned, they're very stable looking. You know, or your seniors like to say they look very vintage, right? Because they are usually associated with typewriters or newspapers, right? So they feel old. They feel uh, more reliable. So if a serif has a personality, it's like like an adult, a responsible adult, so to speak, like a professor, or really old, timey, kind of guy or girl. Right? Whereas the sans serif, like this one, tends to be more modern, tends to be more neutral, right? And this is also why it is the favorite of websites or modern brands. Like you see Nike, right? Nike does not use a serif. They love sans serif. Right? Okay, now these kind of fonts, this is what we call decorative fonts because they are very irregular. Yes, and they can also be very playful, right? The complete opposite, they can be super edgy. Like if you ever seen a metal band punya cover, the words are like so horribly like over elaborately decorative, like you can't read them sometimes. Right, you guys can do right music genres last semester for design studies. Right? Did anyone get metal? I remember seeing like someone's Odin, like or Norse inspired like album cover. Are the designers here or the design team here?
Yeah, that's Peng Chun.
Yeah, alright, yeah. So you see, the fonts that you use, this is what we call decorative fonts, right? Because they are meant to be used in very specific times. Like you cannot make you notice this is right, the logo here, they use these very decorative fonts, right? But everything else, that actually needs you to slow down to read, it is a sans serif. Right? Use decorative fonts very thoughtfully and very sparingly. Don't use decorative fonts for everything. It's impossible to read. It's a headache. Oh, sorry. Right. Okay. So expanding a bit more. Which one looks more modern? A or B? Websites again. Anyone? Which one looks? Yes, one.
I think the on the right one is more modern versus on the left one is more traditional because you can see the how do I say this the placement of things. You see, they have like a consistent border here. Look at the image; it's on the left, and then the text it's on the right. It's not like how do I say this? Going out of the border, and then there's also image at the bottom, and also shaped by a very consistent border. Whereas at the right side, you can see there's like images like at the front, at the back, and then there's just images everywhere, and you can see even one of the images is covering the text. So there's kind of like inconsistent borders here. So that's why it makes it modern because like it's more. It's not restricted.
Okay. Thank you for that. That is quite true, right? Because this one feels, this one, the composition feels more, what we call it, it feels more static, right? Or you can be very specific and you can say it is middle aligned, right? Whereas this is a little bit more scattered, right? Or we can call it irregular. So this is composition, right? Or Okay, apart from the composition, can anyone comment on this part and these? You know,
I think generally the modern look would just have more visuals over text. I think that's the main thing to take away.
nice.
And also, and one other thing is also color scheme. It's, I think, like to give it that oldish look, it would have that sort of I don't know, that dull looking color scheme compared to this really bright looking pursuits. It's like right in your face kind of thing.
Nice.
It's like looking at I'm not sure if I'm sure you've seen Spotify's website, like that like new catchy creative looking way they put out all their interfaces and whatnot, the UI, something like that. That's like modern. It's more visual than text.
Okay, so it's more visual heavy. Okay, this is also kind of sort of visual heavy, but yeah, we'll go with this. Okay, all right. I want to also point out that your choice of images also help form the language of your designs a lot, because do you see this here? Modern interfaces also rely very heavily on on photos, right? And not any kind of photos. You notice there is this very specific look in their photos. You know, my older bosses would call it very hipster looking photos, right? Because it has a very particular color scheme. You know, it tends to be very muted colors or very low contrast, especially images like this, where it's just all different colors of red. Right? What was it? It has a very VSCO look or Visco look. Does anyone use Visco here? It's a very uh, lesser known social media platform, I think, in Malaysia. Anyone? VSCO or Visco. I don't know how to say this. Yeah. Yeah, but you can go check it out. You heard the word before, right? Yeah. So you see these images, all that you see here? Wait, okay, this is an ad, so this doesn't count, right? This IBM Blue Mix is an ad, right? But when you look at these images here, they have a very particular art direction, right? And also, do you see this? Do you guys know what this kind of illustration is called? You know, this illustration with the very fine lines, like highly detailed and stipplings, right? So this illustration style, illustration, God, my spelling, right? Is what we call lithographic, right? Because it's reminiscent of the lithographs that last time people used to use to create their old newspapers. So wait up, I'm just right. So the more research you do, the more you will start to see patterns, right? And you will start to use ideas that so yeah, so lithography illustration or lithographic illustration. So do you see this? Yeah, it's this kind of illustrations. Come on. Oh dear, what's wrong with my internet? Yeah, but I guess you can see from the thumbnails, right? They are these images are done by carving very intricate lines on metal plates. You see that? Yeah, that's a metal plate right there. Right? All these are lines on metal plates that eventually when you put ink and then you put paper and then when you peel away the paper, this is how you get these very elaborate traditionally black and white illustrations. So this is a website, right? This is a website. But look at how they are borrowing the art direction of this very old vintage type illustrations that we are familiar with, right? And also, since you mentioned the colors and also, may I point out also the texture? Do you see this old paper texture? Yeah, that's very reminiscent of this era as well. So, yeah, so really once upon a time, if people wanted to make posters, this is how they would look like. So do you see this? Yeah. So that's why, even though this is designed for the screen or the phone, right? it's a very modern application. It's a 21st century application, but because this brand values tradition, they borrow a lot of traditional poster or lithographic illustration, choice of colors, choice of lines, choice of like detail, super very detailed fine lines here, right? And also the choice of papers that a lot of us see this lithographic painting on, right? Uh, lithographic printings on, sorry, and that's why it creates this look, right? Whereas this is something closer to the 21st century, right? Because we now have very wonderful screens that can show a lot of bright colors. That's why this Bloomberg business uses a lot of bright colors, right? And because our screen is capable of showing gradients, that's why you see these gradients happen. Yeah, so yeah, so this is the reason why it's important for you to look at existing work, right? These are existing work, and you see what I'm doing now. I'm breaking down the look and feel, right? Specifically to the design elements and the design principles. Right? And I'm also trying to connect all of these to idea. Right? So these two major ideas right now is that what looks traditional and what looks modern. Right? Okay. Yeah. So, right. Okay. Last slide. Let me just ask, between A and B. Okay. Let's talk price point lah. Okay, since I guess you guys know which one looks traditional, which one looks modern, right? If let's say both of these companies are for restaurants, right? They serve the same kind of food, Western food, right? They serve spaghetti and sandwiches and steak and whatever, right? Which one do you think will charge you 200 ringgit for a plate of fish and chips? A or B?
Definitely A.
A.
Definitely A.
Definitely A. Why A?
I think it really goes back to like I think our very first class is just first of all the packaging and then how how they do it. It's like that paper. I forgot what that texture of paper is, and then the same typeface, kind of thin, elegant looking. See, even the garlic's there.
Mm.
Yeah, it's just the look of it which gives off the feel already.
Correct. This is craft paper, by the way. Yeah, so yeah, this is craft paper, this is craft paper. Okay. Between A and B, how many will charge you, which one will charge you 200 ringgit for fish and chips? But the fish is made into a jelly, right? And the chips are actually cooked using freezing. Or otherwise, they use cannot spell, molecular gastronomy methods. If you don't know what molecular gastronomy means, it means like this lah. They will use science to make traditional dishes more interesting. Okay, so who's more weird? Who use molecular gastronomy, A or B? A, are you sure? Okay. So let me ask again: scientific or odd cooking methods? A or B? Aha. Okay. How many of you have heard? Is this the first time you guys are hearing of this term? Molecular gastronomy? Molecular gastronomy. See, I'm bringing in culinary arts. No? Okay. Okay. This is what molecular gastronomy looks like. Yeah, see? So they will use nitrogen, they will use strange cooking methods, so they will make very interesting things. Like, you see this? This could be a drop of fish, with a foam of made from potatoes and little droplets of wasabi. So it's basically fish and chips, maybe in a single spoon. Ah, yes. See this foam, but then when you put it in your mouth, it will taste like green tea or something like that. Yeah. So this kind of fancy food. A or B. And if you have never tried this before, do try it. I know, maybe one day at a really special occasion, take your mom or your dad or your girlfriend, boyfriend, go and try. It's really, really cool. Yeah, so okay. Okay lah, basically between A and B, which company is more likely to use new and strange methods to cook? Aha. Sciencey stuff. B, right? Okay, Kevin, and Celine, why do you say B? B looks more modern. Okay. Kevin, keep typing. Go ahead. Okay, Celine, can you elaborate? What specifically in B makes it communicate that it's modern? And this is also for anyone, yeah? You can answer also. What makes B modern looking? Correct. Based on their modern style, they'll be more experimental. Good. So can you find the specific design element or the design principle that makes B look very modern? Colors. Okay, what kind of colors? Are they muted colors, pastel colors? No, not really pastel. You see that? Right, so pastel tends to be very pale. Like, like if you take something and you add a lot of white to it. Whereas this feels to be quite saturated colors. Yeah, so it's this. So this is pastel, this is saturated, and this is very dark. So that's the difference in the terminology. Yeah, bright colors, correct. And the blending of colors, good. Right, because specifically, do you see this method over here? This is what we call overlay. And it's something that Photoshop does very, very well. Yeah, so you see, it kind of looks like this. Like if you had transparencies and you put colors on top of each other, or if you have gradients, this is what we call the overlaying method. So yeah, so this literally is overlay. Because it comes from moments like this. Yeah. Right? So these are very specific design terminologies, very specific design trends or design ideas. You know? So that's why this also works, right? Because you see this gradient and the overlay method like this. Yeah, this is why this also looks modern. That's why this also looks modern. That's why I chose these two examples. Okay. So now you know what to do for exercise 1, right? And also, I'm ending the lecture here, right? So if you already have your mood boards, great. I want you all to, as a group, yeah, maybe. Okay, now it's 2:25, right? So take about 10 minutes per group. I will start with group 3, then I'll go to group 2, then I'll go to group 1. Because last week I started with group 1 and went the other way, right? Okay, so as a group, take 10 minutes, right? And I want you all to show each other your mood boards, right? And from your mood boards, I want you all to discuss and identify firstly clearly what is the creative direction. Right? You can ask yourself, who is your market? What are they young? Are they old? and then if are they mostly men or women, or is it unisex? And then so these are demographics, yeah. And of course you should ask, is your product a high-end product meant for the upper classes? Right? Is it a mid-end product meant for the middle classes? Or are you going to go like, yeah, we're super low end, like super MacGyver, Borderlands kind of aesthetic, right? Right, this is for the lower classes, right? So you're cheap and you're cheerful. Cheerful. Okay. So this is the demographics, and then I also want you guys to figure out very important psychographics. What is the lifestyle they have? Yes. Are they very active? Are they very passive? Are they very casual? Or are they very hardcore? Or whatever? Are they experts? Or are they beginners? Right. Other things you can consider, like things like, are they is your brand supposed to be eco-friendly? Is it super important to be eco-friendly? Uh, is it supposed to be cute? Is it supposed to be serious? What? Right? All these things consider. Right? And then once you have discussed this, I want you to look at your mood boards, right? And maybe identify art direction, right? If you can, maybe show me 2 to 3 chosen slides of your mood boards. Can be from anyone in the group, don't worry, right? If yours don't get chosen, also don't worry, you will always get your marks. Okay, so after today's class, basically until 17th of June 2021, right? I want you to continue doing your mood boards if you haven't done that already, right? And also your analysis. If you have already done 6 mood boards now, great, you can do more. Please do more. Right? If you haven't done enough, then please do at least 6. Pass up at least 6. Right? So your mood boards and analysis, short analysis here. Please don't write 5,000 words essay here. No 5,000 word essay. Okay, thanks.
Miss, for the analysis, right?
Yes.
Like, do we need to write for one mood boards or
Each mood board.
like for each mood board?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you want in the analysis?
I want you to talk about the design elements and the design principles. So you look at your mood boards and let's say like, oh, when I look at this mood board, right? The colors are very bright, or are they dull? Or what kind of fonts do you have? Do you think this is you have very decorative fonts, your sans serif fonts? If there is illustration or photos, you can also talk about the illustration style or the photo style. Like, oh, I chose Japanese scroll painting as a style. Then this scroll painting style means that we have to make the drawings using brush and ink. We cannot draw with pencil with fine lines. The shapes have to be very loose and organic. It cannot be very square or edgy. So this analysis will help you and your group anchor down your art direction more clearly. Because as we have experienced just now, when we see brands with bright colors, we automatically associate friendliness. Or maybe you can say it's appropriate for a younger target audience, like maybe teenagers or children, right? Or young adults, right? Whereas if you have very dark colors, right, we associate it to be very serious. So it's more appropriate for adults, or even young adults, but they are very serious mentality, maybe. Short analysis. for each board. Okay. If you want more information, always refer to the assignment brief. Okay. Exercise 1. Okay. Any other questions? If no questions, then I'll end the lecture here. I want you to go talk to each other in your groups, and then I will come by and talk to you. I will spend about like maybe 10 minutes per group. Yeah. So I will see group 3 first this time, then I'll see group 2, then group 1. Okay. Off you go. Bye bye. I'll see you shortly.
Miss?
Yes.
Okay.